Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from SpeechModification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. In this video, we'll look at how to pronounce the words choke, choked, clock, clocked, cook, and cooked. So all of these begin with the k sound and have a past tense version and a present tense version. But the letter O says something different in each of these, and we'll talk about spelling conventions and what you can learn and count on when it comes to these words. So for the word choke, the letter O says the O diphthong. We usually spell this with letter O plus E at the end, like in note or hope. The E makes the O say its name. That's a constant rule in English. When there's an O and a silent E at the end, then the letter is the same pronunciation as the letter name. So O says O, A says A, etc. Some people call this long O. I tend to avoid the words long and short when talking about vowels because I think that can get confusing when you're talking about how long to hold the vowel. I use O like no snow to help you know about the O diphthong. So in the word choke, we have the CH letters say the ch sound. Make sure that you push the air out there, that you don't have any k sound or sh sound, but rather the tongue starts up behind the teeth, drops down to the SH position, ch, ch for letter CH, and then O and k, choke, choke. I've rewritten that for you here with letters OA because the other way we often spell letter O, besides it being an O by itself or an O with the E at the end, is with OA, like in coat or moat, for example. And then when we make the past tense choked, like I choked on it, because the sound, the last sound in choke is a voiceless k sound, that's what tells us what letters ED say. So even though there's a letter E there, that E doesn't make any sound. If you look at the sounds, we just have ch, O, and k. So when we add ED to a word with k, like cook or choke, the letters ED say the t sound. Voiceless sounds of p, k, and f, and sh, and ch all have the ED say t. You can learn more about pronunciation of past tense in my videos for that, as well as in our Sounds of English course. We walk through all of the different pronunciations of all the sounds of English and patterns and rules to understand the spelling, how letters do and don't correspond to sounds. So when you're trying to say choked, you're basically just saying the same thing as choke, but adding the t sound, choked. If it's difficult for you to do that kt, kt at the end, just try it with and without the T, choke, choke. Feel how your tongue lifts up and air bursts out for the k. And then instead of choked, you're going to burst out the air all at once, choked. It's a very light release of the K and then the stronger release of the T, choked. You also might find it easier to link. For example, I choked on it, I choked on it. Then we have kind of a light flap sound, choked on, where I'm not using a full D, not choked on, but choked on, choked on. You can think of that flap sound as sounding a little bit more like a D, and that might make it easier for you to do that combination of the k and t. I choked. If you're just saying I choked, you need the K and the T sounds, kt, choked. Okay, then when we move to clock, notice we have two consonants here and the O by itself. So most of the time, letter O, when it's the only vowel letter in the word, a good percentage of the time, I believe it's about 80% of the time, it will say vowel ah, like in clock. For many non-native speakers, this is confusing because in other languages, O typically says O or maybe ah. It doesn't usually say ah. In English, in other languages, ah is usually spelled with letter A. So in English, we have letter A in words like father or pasta. But typically, most of the time, we spell the ah vowel with letter O. So hot, pasta, not, my father. I use not and hot. to represent this ah vowel. Some people call it long A, but actually long A I think they say is A. So I don't even know what long and short A always are. They call it short O if they're teaching that method. I like to think of it as the not hop vowel. Also, remembering that it's the same vowel in father is very helpful for a lot of people because in their language, they see an A, they think ah. Now we want you to see an O and think ah, like in clock. In this case, the CK makes it the short O, so to speak. So I've rewritten that for you here with AH, clock. And then the same thing when we're saying clocked, it's the same as with choked. The letters ED are just going to say the T sound, clocked. I clocked in at work. He got clocked on the head. Okay, and then for the words cook and cooked, this one doesn't follow the rules. Typically, letters OO are going to say the oo vowel, like in room or food. That's the most typical pronunciation for letters OO, but there's some very important exceptions. Cook, look, stood, a few like that will have the vowel instead of the oo vowel. So oo, like room and food, etc., is very tense and round, oo. And the vowel, my jaw is more open, my tongue is lower, and it's not a tense, it's a lax vowel. I'm still rounded though. When I say cook, you can still see some lip rounding there. It's the same vowel we have in the words could and should and push. So we spell it with OU, with letter U, a number of different spellings. I've rewritten cook here for you with OU. You could also think of it with U if that helps you to think of that vowel like we have in push and could. Also matching, I could cook, making sure that making the same vowels there, or don't push the cook. Whatever helps you to remember that vowel can be very helpful. The error is often that people will see the OO and they'll be doing 2/10 of a vowel like oo. Also, a lot of languages don't have the vowel, they just have the oo vowel. So even if you were trying to do could, you might have a tendency to say could, 2/10, open up and lower the tongue. Could, cook. And finally, for cooked, I cooked it, I cooked dinner. We just add the T sound as well for that ED at the end. So once you can say choke, choked, clock, clocked, cook, and cooked by themselves, do try practicing them in some short phrases just so that you can really associate strongly those correct vowels, the correct pronunciation of these. For example, I don't want you to choke on your food. You already choked 2 times last week. Please stop looking at the clock. You already clocked in and you won't get to clock out until the end of your shift. I do really like to cook and I just cooked 5 minutes ago. Okay, for more help with any of these sounds, the vowel sounds, the consonant sounds, you can find lots of videos here on our channel specific to those sounds and which words have the sounds. You also might like our minimal pairs playlist that compares things like look and luke, for example, where the vowel is just the only difference between the two words. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you can get help for past tense in videos here on the channel and in our Sounds of English course on speechmodification.com. We walk you through a lot of strong things to build a strong foundation to pronounce any word you like confidently and easily in American English. That's our Sounds of English course, and you can find it on our website, speechmodification.com. Do feel free to leave comments, questions. I can refer you to other videos and other resources, or add your word to my list to cover in a future Word of the Day class. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye, everyone. Hope to see you again soon.